Welcome, welcome, one and all, to English Edge, the only podcast that promises to sharpen your business English without, making you feel like you're back in grammar school detention.
A true relief for many, I'm sure. I'm Vicky, and joining me today, as always, is the wonderfully witty Leo. How's it going, Leo?
Oh, just preparing my power pose for our podcast today because, Vicky, we are diving headfirst into a topic that strikes fear into the hearts of many a professional: effective business meetings.
Ah, yes, the arena where dreams go to, well, sometimes just to have a quick nap. But seriously, today we're talking about how to not just survive, but thrive in those meeting rooms. We're going to tackle speaking confidently, sharing your brilliant ideas, and, actually making an impact.
Yeah, because let's be honest, we've all been there. You have that amazing idea, you're mentally rehearsing it, you're like, this is it, my moment. And then someone else says it, or the meeting ends and you're just left there silently stewing in your own genius.
Right? Like, oh, that was totally what I was going to say. So our mission today, should you choose to accept it, and you totally should, is to transform you from a meeting wallflower into a blossoming, confident contributor, even if you're like an extreme introvert who just wants to communicate via interpretive dance. We'll get you there.
Exactly. We're talking key phrases, some sneaky good strategies for participation, even a few cultural tips so you don't accidentally start a diplomatic incident when you're just trying to ask for more coffee. It's all about making meetings your superpower, your strength, well, you get the idea. So buckle up, because let's just address the elephant in the room, shall we? Meetings.
Yes, meetings. The daily reality, where you go in with high hopes and sometimes, just come out wondering what just happened, or if you were even there.
Absolutely. It's like you block out an hour or 2 hours for productivity, and then you spend half of it just trying to decipher if the spreadsheet is actually trying to tell you a secret message, or if it's just very, very angry.
And then on top of that, if you're speaking in English, which for many of us isn't our first language, it can feel like you're playing a game of mental chess and charades all at the same time. You have that brilliant thought, right? It's sparkling in your head, but then you're like, wait, how do I phrase this politely? Do I sound too aggressive? Is this the right idiom? And poof, the moment's gone.
Oh, tell me about it. I mean, my brain usually just defaults to pizza. Did someone say pizza when the pressure's on? And that's not exactly contributing to the Q3 earnings report, is it?
Not usually, no, unless it's a pizza company. But honestly, it's totally understandable. Meetings, especially in a second language, can be super intimidating. You feel like everyone else is just effortlessly fluent.
Yeah, and they're just dropping those power phrases like, let's circle back. And you're there like, circle what? I thought we were going forward. It's a lot. It really is.
But here's the thing, and this is where we come in. You don't have to be a naturally loud, extroverted person to shine in meetings. In fact, some of the most impactful contributions come from the quieter folks.
It's true. It's about skill, not necessarily volume. And honestly, it's a muscle you can totally train, even if your natural instinct is to just sort of melt into the background like a shy, very intelligent chameleon.
Exactly. We're here to tell you that contributing confidently, making your voice heard, and yes, even getting that brilliant idea out there before someone else claims it is a skill. And it's one that anyone, literally anyone, can master. So no more napping, metaphorically speaking anyway, unless it's a really, really long meeting. Then maybe just a quick power nap. But we're here to help you engage.
Absolutely. And to help you go from, being that charming, intelligent wallflower in the corner to the meeting MVP, most valuable participant, of course. Not like a literal MVP trophy, though that would be cool.
I definitely display that on my desk. So let's dive into some actual practical strategies, because this isn't just about wanting to speak up. It's about having a game plan.
Right. Strategy number 1, and this sounds super obvious, but it's often overlooked. Prepare. Like, actually prepare. Don't just wing it.
Oh, totally. Like, how many times have you scrolled through the agenda 2 minutes before the meeting starts and you're like, oh, project timeline? I guess that's important.
Guilty as charged. My preparation usually involves finding a pen that actually works. But seriously, Vicky's right. Review the agenda, and here's the kicker. Prepare one key point, just one. You don't need to have a whole monologue ready.
Yeah, exactly. Just one solid thought. It's like your little comfort blanket of confidence. You know you have something valuable to say, even if everything else goes off the rails. It takes the pressure off, too.
Absolutely. Because then you're not scrambling when someone says, does anyone have anything to add? And you're just like, the sky is blue?
Precisely. Which leads us to strategy number 2, speak up early. And I mean early, like within the first 10, 15 minutes if you can.
Oh, this is crucial because your confidence, much like a good souffle, it tends to deflate if you wait too long. You have that brilliant idea and you're holding on to it and holding on to it, and then someone else says it. And you're just like, no, that was my genius thought about the spreadsheet.
Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. You know, you noodle on it, you refine it in your head, you think, okay, this is perfect. And then Brenda from accounting just drops it word for word. And you're left there, like, deflated. So speak up early, even if it's just, I'd like to suggest we look into this further. Just get your voice in the room.
It's like getting your toe in the door, just a little bit. And then once you've said something, it's actually easier to say something else. It breaks the ice for you.
Totally. And speaking of breaking, strategy number 3, managing interruptions. Because let's be real, meetings can be a bit of a conversational rugby scrum sometimes. People talk over each other.
Oh, absolutely. Especially when you're finally about to deliver that key point you prepared and someone just steamrolls right over you. It's like, excuse me, I believe I was just about to enlighten you all about the...
May I add something? See, just like that. Politely interject with something like, may I add something to that? Or, if I could just jump in here for a moment. It signals that you have something to say, but you're still being courteous. It's about owning your space without being rude.
Yeah, it's not about yelling, hey, my turn. It's more of a gentle, elegant slide into the conversation, like a well-oiled otter. A polite otter.
A very polite otter, yes. And finally, strategy number 4, and this is so important, active listening. This isn't just about waiting for your turn to talk, it's about being present.
Right. You're not just like mentally drafting your grocery list. You're actually, listening to what people are saying. And you show that engagement.
Yeah, nodding, making eye contact, and even summarizing what someone else said. Like, so if I'm understanding correctly, you're saying we should prioritize phase A over phase B due to resource allocation. It shows you're engaged, and it also clarifies things for everyone. It makes you look super smart, too.
Totally. And it gives you a moment to digest what was said and then formulate your thought, right? You're not just blurting things out. You're being thoughtful.
Exactly. So let's put it all together with an example. Imagine you've prepared your key point, you're actively listening, and you find that early moment. You could say something like, I'd like to add that streamlining our current onboarding process could actually save us 10 hours weekly by Q3. I think that's a key efficiency gain we could look into.
See, you've got your prepared point, you're speaking up, and you're offering a clear, quantifiable benefit. It's not just things could be better. It's here's how things could be better, and here's why it matters.
And it works. It truly does. It's about being strategic, not just being loud.
That's right. Strategic, not loud. And part of being strategic, I think, is having the right tools in your toolkit, right? The magic words, if you will.
Ooh, I love magic words. Are we talking like abracadabra, I present my budget proposal?
Not quite, Vicky, though that would certainly liven up the finance meetings.
No, these are like actual useful phrases that make you sound super confident and, dare I say, fluid.
Ooh, tell me more, tell me more.
Okay, so we talked about speaking up early. What if you want to add something that maybe wasn't on the agenda, or just a new thought? You could say, I'd like to add.
Ah, simple, direct, elegant. Like, I'd like to add that, perhaps we should consider getting a office dog for team morale.
Exactly. See? Perfect. It's polite, it opens the floor for your contribution, and it doesn't sound like you're just, blurting things out.
Nope. It sounds like you've been pondering this profound thought for hours. And then there's always that moment in a meeting where someone says something and you're just not quite sure what they mean, or if you heard them right.
Been there, done that. Usually my response is just a bewildered stare, but a better phrase for that would be, could you clarify?
Could you clarify whether you just said we're replacing all our coffee with kale smoothies? Who shudders?
Precisely. It's polite, it shows you're engaged, and it gets the information you need without making anyone feel stupid. And speaking of could you clarify, this actually brings us to a super important point: pronunciation.
Oh, the dreaded pronunciation. My tongue still tries to tie itself in knots sometimes.
Well, here's a quick tip, and this is especially good for questions like, could you clarify? When you're asking a question, use rising intonation, so your voice actually goes up at the end of the sentence.
Like, could you clarify with a high note so I sound like I'm singing opera?
Not quite opera, Vicky. More like, could you clarify? Just a little lift. It signals, hey, this is a question. I'm expecting an answer. If you say, could you clarify, with a falling intonation, it sounds more like a statement or even a demand.
Ah, so it's not, could you clarify? Like, I'm telling you what to do. It's, could you clarify? Like I'm genuinely asking. Got it. So subtle, yet so powerful.
Exactly. And then our third magic phrase, which is a fantastic one for those times you mostly agree, but you have a slight, asterisk. It's, I agree, but...
Oh, this is my favorite because sometimes you just can't wholeheartedly agree, can you? Like, I agree, but I don't think pizza should be considered a vegetable.
Yes, see, it validates the other person's point first, which is really important for building rapport, and then you introduce your counterpoint or your nuance. It's polite disagreement.
It's like, I see your point, and it's a good one, but my point is also valid, so let's talk about that too. It's so much better than just blurting out, no, you're wrong.
A little less likely to start a full-blown office brawl, which is always a plus.
Definitely. So just to recap these gems, I'd like to add, could you clarify, remember the rising intonation, and I agree, but...
Yeah, practice these, folks. Say them out loud, maybe in the shower or when you're talking to your cat. Your cat probably has some great insights on project timelines.
Mine definitely does. So practice them, get them in your muscle memory, and you'll find yourself naturally slotting them into conversations. It makes a huge difference. You know, Leo, all these magic phrases are brilliant, truly. But I've been in meetings where even the perfect phrase felt wrong. Like the energy was just off.
Oh, absolutely, Vicky. That's because meetings aren't just about the words you say. It's also about where you're saying them. I mean, we're talking about the glorious, sometimes baffling world of cultural differences.
The global meeting maze, where a yes might not always mean yes, and a direct question can be seen as an act of war.
Precisely. It's like navigating a different planet every time you dial into a new international call. So let's start with the good old U.S. of A. In the U.S., generally meetings are pretty direct. People are expected to share their opinions freely.
Yeah, it's like a verbal wrestling match sometimes, you know? Lay it all out. Tell us what you think. We want your raw, unfiltered opinion. It can be a little jarring if you're not used to it.
It can. My first few U.S. meetings felt like I was auditioning for a stand-up routine, honestly. Now, if you swing over to, say, Asia, it's often a very different vibe. Consensus is highly valued. You want to avoid any kind of confrontational tone.
Right. So, no, I agree, but you're completely wrong and your idea is terrible. It's more about, I agree, and perhaps we could also consider this gentle, graceful alternative that doesn't make anyone lose face.
Exactly. It's all about harmony, which, makes sense. And then we pivot to Germany. Oh, Germany.
Punctuality, structure. I imagine meetings there are like perfectly engineered machines, every cog, every gear in its place.
Yeah, and they expect you to be punctual, not just for the meeting start, but for your contributions too. They want structured discussions, clear agendas, and they stick to them. It's not a place for free-flowing, tangential brainstorming, usually.
So, if you've got a brilliant, spontaneous thought, you might want to schedule a meeting to discuss scheduling that thought.
Pretty much. It's efficient. I'll give them that. So the big takeaway here is, it's pretty simple, actually. Observe.
Oh, okay. So be like a cultural chameleon, but still polite?
Yeah. Watch your colleagues, see how they interact. How do they interrupt? How do they disagree? What's the general tone? And then try to, gently match that tone. But always, always stay polite. No matter where you are, politeness is a universal language.
Right. So you might not be understood, but at least you'll be politely misunderstood. I like that. It's a good starting point. Okay, so we've talked about the theory, right? The phrases, the cultural nuances, but now it's time for the real test.
Oh boy, the moment of truth. Are we doing a dramatic reenactment? Because I have my tiny prop microphone ready.
Even better, Leo. We're gonna do a little role play, a role play rumble, as I like to call it. The scenario? A team meeting. We're discussing project timelines and someone, me, needs to contribute effectively.
Ah, the classic project timeline meeting, where dreams go to die, usually. All right, who am I in this thrilling drama?
You, my friend, are the discerning colleague. I'm going to be the intrepid speaker, trying to make an impact. Ready?
Always ready for my close-up. Hit me with it.
Okay, so speaking of these timelines, I'd like to add that, adjusting some of these deadlines, I think it could actually really, really improve the overall quality of, the whole thing. Thoughts?
That's a good point, Vicky. A very good point indeed. But could you clarify, specifically which tasks you're thinking of? Because, some of these are already, shall we say, aggressively timed.
Oh, thank goodness you didn't just stare blankly. See, that's how it's done, folks. I threw out a point, you asked for clarification, boom, engagement.
Yeah. And I didn't even, fall asleep during your sentence, which for me is a huge win in a timeline meeting. It shows that even with a little fumbling, you can still get the message across and keep the conversation flowing.
Exactly. And that I'd like to add is just so useful for gently nudging your point into the conversation without sounding like you're, hijacking the whole thing.
Yeah. It's like saying, "Excuse me, world, I have a thought," but I'm not shouting it from the rooftops, just gently putting it on the table. And the "could you clarify" is just perfect for when you're, totally lost, but don't want to admit it.
Or when you genuinely want more detail. It works both ways.
Multi-purpose phrases, folks. That's what we aim for.
All right, so we've role-played, we've dissected the phrases, but now, Leo, it's time for our listeners to take center stage.
Ooh, the spotlight. I hope they've been practicing their traumatic pauses and power stances.
Well, maybe not power stances, but definitely power phrases. This is your mission, English Edge listeners, should you choose to accept it.
Cue the secret agent music. Do-do-do-do.
Exactly. Your challenge is to record a short, 30-second meeting contribution. Pick a topic you're familiar with, maybe something like a project timeline or, I don't know, a new office coffee machine strategy. Whatever floats your boat.
Oh, the coffee machine. Now that's a high-stakes meeting. But seriously, just pick something where you might actually have an opinion.
Yes, and here's the key. In your 30-second contribution, you must use at least 2 of the phrases we talked about today. So think, I'd like to add, or could you clarify, or I agree, but, those gems.
Yeah, just try not to use all of them in one run-on sentence. That gets a little much. We're looking for natural, confident contributions.
Exactly. The whole point is to practice speaking up and feeling comfortable doing it. It's not about perfection, it's about participation.
It's like jumping into the shallow end of the pool, but the pool is made of English business phrases. It's less intimidating than it sounds, trust me. No belly flops allowed, unless they're intentional for comedic effect, of course.
So yeah, give it a go. Record yourself, listen back, see how you sound. It's an amazing way to build confidence. We really want you all to speak up and shine in those meetings. Go on, unleash your inner meeting MVP.
Wow, time flies when you're talking about meetings. Who knew? But hey, before we sign off, let's just, quickly recap some of the golden nuggets we've dropped today.
Absolutely. So if there's one thing you take away from this episode, apart from, our sparkling wit, it's this: prepare. Seriously, a little prep goes a long way. Know your one key point. Don't just wing it.
Yeah, don't be that person. And speaking of points, remember those magic phrases. I'd like to add. Could you clarify? I agree, but they're like your secret weapon in the meeting room. Trust me. Just use them wisely.
Right. They're not just for show. They really do help you integrate into the conversation. And don't forget the cultural dance, folks. Meetings in the U.S. are different from Asia, which are different from Germany. Observe, adapt, and always, always, always be polite, even if you're internally screaming.
Oh, absolutely. My inner monologue in some meetings is quite the comedy show, but outwardly, pure professional grace. And finally, the big one, practice. Seriously, record yourself. Try out those phrases. Don't be afraid to sound a bit silly at first. It's like learning to ride a bike. Eventually, you'll be cycling through conversations like a pro.
Exactly. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become. So keep practicing those contributions weekly. Try out our challenge, and you'll be speaking up and shining in no time.
That's right. You've got this, English Edge listeners. Now go forth and conquer those meetings.
And we'll be here next time for more tips, more laughs, and probably more questionable analogies. Thanks for tuning in to English Edge.
Until next time, stay sharp.